Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. In today's video, we will discuss the second metabolic process to produce energy, which is the fermentation reaction. Well, previously we said that cell can produce energy by two major pathways. So, the first pathway is the aerobic pathway, which means that these reactions require oxygen to produce energy. These reactions are called cellular respiration. The second pathway is the anaerobic pathway, which means these reactions happen in the absence of oxygen or and a low supply of oxygen. These reactions are called fermentation. Initially, we distinguish many types of fermentation, but we will be talking only about two types of it. So, the first type of fermentation is the alcoholic fermentation or the ethanol fermentation. Well, let's start with the metabolite of this reaction, which is the glucose molecule. So, glucose molecule is going to enter the cell, and especially it's going to enter to the cytosol of the cell, where this molecule over here is going to be broken down into two pyruvic acid molecule through glycolysis reaction. In glycolysis reaction, we will have also not only the production of 2-pyruvic acid, but we will have the phosphorylation of 2-ADP with 2-phosphate to produce 2-ATP molecule. Plus, we will have the reduction of 2-NAD plus into 2-NADH plus. Now, if you notice, fermentation reaction start with glycolysis reaction, the same as cellular respiration. So, we will call this step as a common step between fermentation and also cellular respiration. Because first, we will end up having 2-ATP, 2-NADH plus, 2-pyruvic acid, and also it doesn't require oxygen and it happens in the cytosol of the cell. Now, the fate of pyruvic acid is going to be determined by the presence or the absence of oxygen. So, if there is oxygen in the cell, this pyruvic acid is going to enter to the mitochondria, get into the Krebs cycle reactions, then into the oxidative phosphorylation. But in this case, in fermentation, pyruvic acid is going to stay in the cytosol, but it's going to be converted to another new molecule. So, what will happen is there is an enzyme that is present in the cytosol of the cell that's going to break down this bond over here, and this carbon dioxide will be released in the environment in its gas form. This reaction is called decarboxylation. Now, what's left is CH3COH, and this entire structure is known as acetaldehyde. Now, this acetaldehyde, it's going to be reduced. That's supposed to mean what? That's supposed to mean it's going to accept protons and also electrons. Now, from where we are going to get these proton and these electron, and the answer will be from these NADH plus produced in glycolysis reaction. So, NADH plus is going to be oxidized into NAD plus. Then we will have the releasing of protons and electrons that are going to be accepted by this molecule, which is acetaldehyde, and produce a new molecule that's chemical formula is C2H5OH. So back to the acetaldehyde, we already have 2 carbon atoms. So here we have 3 protons and here we have another one. So we only have 4 hydrogen atoms. In addition to the 2 protons received from one NADHH+, so the total is going to be 6 protons. So back to this molecule over here, we have 5 hydrogen atoms and this is the 6th one. For oxygen, we only have 1 atom that is present over here. So this chemical formula over here, it's for ethanol molecule, which is for alcoholic fermentation is the end product. So for alcoholic fermentation, we will end up with 2 ethanol molecule, 2 because we are going to produce from each pyruvic acid 1 ethanol molecule. In addition, we will have the releasing of 2 carbon dioxide in the environment. But what's important for us is we will end up having or producing 2 ATP molecule because the 2 NADH produced in glycolysis, they are going to be reused in this step over here. So in fermentation especially, we will end up regenerating NAD+. So basically, this type of fermentation is going to be utilized by yeast cell and some bacterial cell to regenerate NAD+ coenzyme molecule and also to make a quick energy. For the second type of fermentation, it's the lactic acid fermentation. So what will happen is our famous molecule, which is glucose, is going to enter to the cytosol of the cell, where it's going to be broken down into 2 pyruvic acid molecule. In addition, we will have the production of 2 ATP molecule and also the reduction of NAD+ into NADHH+. So for lactic acid fermentation, it's the same thing. Nothing has changed, and it's a common step also between this type of fermentation and the alcoholic one. So the difference is going to be noticed in the next step. Now this pyruvic acid over here is going to be reduced. How so? It means that it's going to accept protons and electrons. And the question is, from where it's going to get these protons and these electrons? And the simple answer will be from these NADHH+ produced in glycolysis reaction. So this NADHH+, it's going to be oxidized into NAD+ with the releasing of protons and also electrons. The protons and electrons, they are going to be accepted by this pyruvic acid molecule and they are going to be involved in this place, and for the second one in this place. And we will produce a new molecule that's chemical formula is this one. So if you realize, here we have CH3, just like pyruvic acid molecule. We have here CHOH, COOH. So nothing has changed except that we've accepted protons and electrons coming from the oxidation of NADHH+. This chemical formula is for lactic acid molecule. So in this type of fermentation, we will end up producing 2 molecules of lactic acid. Each one of them is coming from 1 pyruvic acid molecule, and also we will end up having 2 ATP molecule. And also we will have the regeneration of NAD+. Well, this type of fermentation happens in some prokaryotic cells and some bacterial cells, and also in the skeletal cells of our body in some circumstances. For example, when we are exercising very hard, our cells don't get enough oxygen. So they have to switch to the process of lactic acid fermentation. So when lactic acid is produced, it eventually causes fatigue. So to sum up all these reactions, you must know that all of these two types of fermentation happens into the cytoplasm or into the cytosol of the cell in the absence or in a low supply of oxygen. And from both types of fermentation, we will end up having 2 ATP molecule only. Next, for the net equation of alcoholic fermentation is next. So we have here the glucose molecule that's going to be converted into this new molecule over here, which is the CH3CH2OH. So when we find OH, it means alcohol. It's the chemical formula of ethanol, and we will have 2 of it. Next, we will have the production of 2 ATP molecules that are going to come from the phosphorylation of 2 ADP molecule with 2 phosphates. And also we will end up releasing 2 carbon dioxide in the environment. Now, for the net equation of lactic acid fermentation, it's also going to start with the glucose molecule that's going to be converted into this new molecule that's chemical formula is CH3CHOHCOOH, which is the lactic acid chemical formula. And the same thing, we will have 2 of it, and we will end up having 2 ATP molecules that are coming also from the phosphorylation of 2 ADP with 2 phosphates. Now, if we compare the net equation of lactic acid fermentation and of alcoholic fermentation, we can see a very slight difference, which is over here we will have the releasing of carbon dioxide, and here we will not have it. So at this point, we came up into the end of this video. Hope it was clear, and see you in the next one.